Academy Sports and Outdoors presents Royals Baseball. Tonight from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, it's Game 2 between the Minnesota Twins and the Kansas City Royals. Hi, everybody. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler with you. The Royals have lost 4 straight games, and because of that, Ned Yost is mixing up his starting lineup. He is putting 2 guys at the top of the lineup to maximize his scoring potential.
That's right. A year ago, it was the speed. He wanted speed at the top of the order, putting Escobar, Kane, moving those guys from the bottom of the lineup, and it worked. Now he wants the on-base percentage guys that get on base more than any other players on the team, and it makes sense.
And there is Ben Zobrist, who will be leading things off, and of course Alex Gordon, who will be hitting second. And as we take a look at the Academy Sports leaderboard, it's the attack of the clones because they're almost identical.
Can you believe it? Not only do they look alike, these 2 hitters, one a switch hitter, Gordon left side only, but look at the numbers. That's amazing. But the OPS is what Ned's all about. On base percentage plus slugging, they both have it. Hopefully we'll see it tonight. Eventually it will rise.
Zobrist and Gordon going 1-2 tonight. On the mound for Kansas City will be Edinson Volquez. On the mound for Minnesota, Kyle Gibson. And when we come back, Joel and Monty will talk the Minnesota right-hander. That's next.
In Kyle Gibson's very successful career against the Royals, he has allowed just 1 home run, and that was the psych. Yes, the blow-off of the handshake there to Mike Churchill is something that Alex Gordon said, yeah, I got you on that one. And now Gordo will try to get Gibson again tonight. Joel Goldberg alongside of Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. The problem, Monty, is that the Royals oftentimes have not been able to get to Kyle Gibson. They are 2-2 against him on the year, but he has really put up great numbers here at Kauffman Stadium. So how does a struggling offense get things going against Gibson?
Well, Gibson has actually struggled a little bit since the All-Star break, so I think that's one key, that he is maybe down a little bit. But the real key for Gibson is pitching to contact. I talked to his pitching coach, Neil Allen, today, and he said that's one of the things that he's struggled with lately, but I have a feeling he's going to get right back to pitching to contact. He'll be challenging these hitters. You cannot you cannot chase pitches out of the strike zone against Gibson. It'll make him so much better. He's got a good sinking fastball, nice slider, and a changeup. So if you do him any favors, it's going to be a long night.
1.35 career ERA from down the street where he played college ball at MU. Can steady Eddie Volquez right the Royals ship? First pitch is coming up next from the cave.
Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all our new 2015 vehicles. We welcome you to Kauffman Stadium, where the American League Central leading Kansas City Royals with a record of 82-55 will try and end a 4-game losing streak. Minnesota now 11 games back, and they remain a game and a half back of the wild card. Right now the leaders are the Yankees and the Rangers. Mahler's lineup, he will go with the same at the top, with Aaron Hicks leading things off, then Brian Dozier, then Joe Mauer, but he'll take Sano out, rest him with that hamstring injury, and move Trevor Plouffe to the 4 spot.
Yeah, you got to take care of that young kid. Sano, he's been playing on a hammy that's not good, even though he can hit. Well, he still has that injury, but he hasn't been productive lately. He's been striking out a lot, so give him a little rest on the pine.
And Edinson Volquez leads the team in wins, starts, innings pitched, strikeouts, and quality starts with 15. But rugged time in his last start, giving up 6 runs in 3 innings. But KC scored 15, and he had a no decision in a 15-7 Royals win. How about the forward Royals defense?
Yeah, nice to see Rios back in there, and wasn't affected so much with the chicken pox, so he's back out there. Hopefully he'll be productive and be a nice bright spot in this order.
The crew chief, Jim Joyce, will be behind the plate. Greg Gibson is at first base, Chad Fairchild at second, and Pat Holberg is at third. Twins won last night by a final score of 6-2. Tommy Malone over Yordano Ventura. And the Royals, Rex, really want to pick up their offense. They have scored just 9 runs in their last 4 games, and that was after scoring 25 in the final 2, 27 in the final 2 against Detroit.
Yeah, they're going to have to be a little bit more selective, especially against Kyle Gibson tonight. But Volquez, he wants to make some adjustments of his own coming off of that last start that he had. And he wants to be able to keep the ball down. He was collapsing his backside, his leg on the rubber, and that made him everything flatten out over the middle of the plate. So he wants to stay on top to execute his pitches. And then when he's on, his fastball got good two-seam life, change-up down, curveball down. That's what he wants. Keep her down, use that defense.
Hicks hit a changeup off of Ventura and homered in his first at bat, and now gets a base hit to right field. And we see Alex Rios, as Rex told you, for the first time in more than a week.
Somehow, some way, Royals starters are going to have to figure out a way to get out of this first inning, as they've been putting the offense in the hole early, and pitches like that are up in the zone, we've noted that they get hit.
And Kansas City has allowed first inning runs in 6 of their last 8 games, a total of 12 runs. They were down very quickly last night, 1-0, and the day before 3-0 after 1. Here is Brian Dozier. He goes after the first pitch, fouls it off, strike 1. Brian only hitting .240. He's 2 for 16 on the road trip, and Hud, he's had a difficult time in the second half after a wonderful first half where he made the All-Star team.
Yep, some guys are strong finishers, others are quick starters. It just really depends, but you know, most teams like it when their guys finish strong. That's the mark of a real pro. He's 0 for 7 in his career against Volquez.
And he dots the outside corner and has Dozier down 0-2. And Dozier is a guy you can strike out. He has struck out 130 times this year. Perez has thrown out 5 of 8 Twins base stealers this year, but the Twins successful 2 for 2 last night. Oh, and then Volquez comes too far inside, and he hits Brian Dozier on the left shoulder on an 0-2 count.
Volquez obviously wasn't trying to do that, especially 0-2. The four-seam fastball just got away from him, cups him on the shoulder. Volquez fell down on the follow-through. You can see that he didn't have the right foothold in that rubber, and he lost his balance. Ball got away from him. 2- and 4-seam fastballs is a weapon he likes to use to get ahead of those hitters. And you know, talking about standing taller on that rubber and creating a better downhill angle is going to be important for Volquez to get through this first inning. He's got to be able to find a way. Now, he has induced or tied his career high 17 ground ball double plays this year, matches the career high from last season when he was with Pittsburgh, and he wants to try to do the same thing here to Mauer. Changeups moving away, keep that curveball down in the zone.
And Eddie, throughout the season, has been strong against left-handed hitters, but not lately. First pitch to Mauer is taken for strike 1. During the season, lefties only batted .230 against the Royals right-hander, but in his last 5 starts, lefties are batting .319. Tried to get him to chase the off speed, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
Yep, this is what you want to try to stay away from. Early runs. Gave up 3 in his first inning in his last outing.
And that tied a season high for runs allowed, and also the fewest innings worked this year, only 3. The Royals were able to roar back in that one and win it 15-7.
Talked with Dave Island today about several things. One of them, Volquez, talking about the tempo, the pace of the game, and how he sometimes slows down. And he said, well,
Volquez is a thinker. He thinks a lot out there on that mound. He says he's trying to eliminate the thought process while he's out there competing, and then in the dugout they can talk about those things. Wants him to get it and go, and he hasn't been doing that so far.
No, he is taking a lot of time in between pitches. You do have a speed guy at second base in Aaron Hicks, and the same Brian Dozier. Combined, they've stolen 20 bases. Howard takes outside. Great discipline. 3-1. And he has had great success this year with runners in scoring position at .352.
And he does that by waiting for his pitch. He's a disciplined hitter. He's got a hit or a walk in 28 consecutive games.
Royals defense plays him straight up. Hosmer behind the runner. Dots the outside corner. 3-2. Back in August, he became the 6th Twin to get 1,500 hits in his career. He grew up in St. Paul, a marvelous 3-sport athlete, All-American in football and baseball, also a tremendous basketball player as well.
Likes to shoot the ball to the opposite field. That keeps him away from grounding out into a double play. He has grounded into 17.
Takes a shot at left field and fouls it back, and Volk has stayed with that good two-seamer at 93 miles an hour.
Yeah, he wants to stay with that pitch. You know, his fastball is a very good pitch, especially he'll touch 95. His average fastball is about 93, but he has the ability to turn it up a notch and take a little bit off of that pitch.
And just taking a look at that replay where the pitch was located, it was a little higher than he wanted.
Or if it's anywhere over the plate, he's going to put it in play.
He swings and misses, and Volquez gets a big strikeout here in the first.
Okay, staying with the two-seam fastball, that's good. That's important. The ball had some good life moving away, and he just blew it by him. His 96th strikeout. Now this is the guy who's a lane ball candidate, Trevor Plouffe. He's grounded into the most, 24 double plays on the season for him.
But he has the most RBIs of any player on the Twins with 73.
Yep, and he is 4 for 9 in his career against Volquez. So he's found some hits. Little inside move there, just to kind of make sure to keep Hicks alive. Keep him close to that bag. Nobody's holding Dozier closely, and he got hit by the pitch, so you know he wants to break up a double play. He'll be getting down there quickly.
Volquez works him away. 1 ball and no strikes. And Rex, I remember a time when Trevor Plouffe was coming up. He was a dead pull hitter, but he has gone more to right field this year, and the Royals playing him more straight up than we've seen him in the past.
That's one of the reasons why he's knocking in more runs. He's using the whole field. He's getting smarter. More experience, the better you get. Thank you.
Ground ball short. Escobar goes second, 1, first base, 2.
Put him in the lane, and no opponents score first.
82 and 55. The magic number to clinch the Central is 15, and the magic number to clinch the #1 seed is 22. They are 4 games ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays, who have a record of 78 and 59. The Kansas City lineup: Ben Zobrist at the top, Alex Gordon #2. Those are the 2 best on-base guys. We talked about that in pregame. And then they want Kane, Hosmer, and Morales to do what they do best: drive them in.
That's the whole idea against Kyle Gibson. He's had a good first half of the season. Second half, not so good. He hasn't been able to get his ball down like he likes. He's a sinker baller. Sinker ballers, if you overthrow, that ball gets up in the zone just like that.
First pitch swinging, Ben Zobrist laces one to left field, not waiting around.
Well, Zobrist, he's unpredictable. Okay, he's very selective, and lots of times he won't swing at the first pitch, but he knows that they're going to try to get that first pitch in there. So there it is, a good level swing on an elevated pitch. And that's exactly what they want to do. See Kyle Gibson up in the zone and put it in play. Sinker, 88 to 93. He'll average about 91. He's got a slider and a good changeup. He'll mix in a couple of curves, but mainly fastball, changeup, and he'll work the slider ball in.
Here is Alex Gordon. He is 6 for 14 and shoots one past the first baseman Mauer. Zobrist will make it all the way to third. And Kansas City has something cooking here in the first inning. Zobrist at third, Gordon at first.
Yeah, there you go. It's amazing when you get out of that first inning. Volquez did a great job, but now all of a sudden 2 pitches, 2 runners on, first and third. That's the aggressiveness of the Royals offense. Ned Yost, he expects this right here from the top 2 guys. Now they've done their job. Let's see what the guys that are paid to drive them in can do.
Hud, could that be the Royal strategy? But because taking a look at his first 2 sinkers, they didn't have that late life to it, and the Royals maybe want to jump on him early before that sinker starts working.
Better believe it. That's what they're doing. Herman, he's the catcher tonight. Got a good catching, throwing out percentage. He's very good with a transfer from glove to hand. Very accurate.
Kurt Suzuki was the starter last night. Tommy Malone was outstanding in game 1 as he handed the Royals a 6-2 loss. Now Lorenzo Cain. And he'll take the first pitch, and we expected him to not even come close to the strike zone after the Royals were very aggressive on the first 2 pitches they saw of this game.
Gibson throws a lot of sinkers out of the strike zone. It's important as this game goes on that the Royals hitters discipline themselves to lay off of that. He's got 55 walks on the season. That's the most on his pitching staff. So they took advantage. They saw him up, the first 2 hitters. The rest of them got to do the same thing.
And the Kansas City offense has walked only 4 times their last 4 games.
Now, being a sinker ball pitcher, he likes to roll the ground balls, and obviously what comes with that is success in double plays. 22 double plays he induced in the first half of the season did Kyle Gibson, and that was best in the majors. Since then, the second half, he's only induced 2. So
wow.
He tells me his fastball and sinkers flattening out, it's staying up in the zone, and he's not getting the ground balls he wants. Lorenzo has to elevate him here. Don't even swing unless it's up.
3 balls, no strikes. Lorenzo Cain, his last 10 games, hitting .361 with a couple of home runs. Eric Hosmer waiting his turn on deck. He was 2 for 4 last night. So was Lorenzo.
Early in the game, like it is, I'm not swinging 3-0. Now he might if he gets a cookie down the middle, but I want to get him into trouble. I want him to walk. Pick out a walk and let Haas and Morales do the damage. There you go.
And he will. So Gibson, the former Missouri Tiger, in a world of trouble here in the first inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the guy who has the second most RBIs in the team coming up, and Eric Hosmer. As we take a look at the Toyota League leaders, the Twins as a staff have given up the fewest walks in the American League, but Kyle Gibson, no walks in 4 starts in 2015. He just allowed his first against Kansas City.
And then that's the overall picture. All the Royals care about is right now. That's all they care about. Look for a pitch out over, elevate.
Hosmer aggressive, much like Zobrist and Gordon. Eric, a .355 average his last 9 games, but he only has 1 extra base hit in that span. And with the bases loaded, he's hitting .300. He is yet to go deep with them full.
Well, he's due for that for sure. But right now they just want to get a run in or 2, maybe more. But he tried to pull it. You try to pull a sinker baller and you're going to hit it on the ground somewhere, and you increase the chances of hitting into a double play. Keep your hands inside and drive it the other way.
He hits this one to right center field, and that will find the gap. It one-hops the wall. In comes Zobrist. In comes Gordon. Here comes Kane. He will score, and the Royals go up 3-0.
Frenzy hitting early. They're back. All right, it's a changeup. Haas kept his hands inside the ball and didn't roll it over, and was able to hit the gap in right center and get the job done. Lorenzo Cain, he read it all the way from first base. He was right behind Alex Gordon, and this ball hit high off the wall. It took some time coming down. That gave just enough time for Lorenzo Cain to follow Alex Gordon. 3-0.
And now Kendrys Morales. And Kendrys pulling the ball down the line. Hosmer will come around to score. 4-0 Royals. Morales to second base with his 39th double.
Man, Kyle Gibson, he's got to be telling himself, what the heck am I going to do? These guys are all of a sudden just raking, and he still hadn't gotten out. 4-0. I'll tell you what, it was the momentum and the fact that Volquez worked himself out, and that little slider down, that's not a bad pitch either. Morales raked it right over Mauer's head.
Kyle Gibson, his first 3 starts at the K, gave up a total of 4 runs. Tonight, he hasn't even recorded an out, and he has given up 4 runs. Morales with RBI number 101, just 7 shy of his career best in 2009. And Kendrys was telling me before the ball game, this is the best he has felt since 08 and 09 before he broke his leg in 2010.
Well, it's great to see the Royals' frenzy hitting break out here in the first inning. They are feeding off of each other early, and it's the first 2 hits on the first 2 pitches by Gibson that stirred it all up.
Moose goes after the first pitch, fouls it off, strike 1. Mike 2 for 4 last night, and that 2-hit game was his 37th multi-hit game this year. Morales, one of the leading candidates in the American League for comeback player of the year. Last season started with Minnesota, ended up with Seattle. Tight 1-1. And look at this, Minnesota's bullpen is already busy. The lefty Darnell already throwing as Gibson laboring in this first inning. Last time out, he threw a quality start, 3 runs in 6 innings, but needed 97 pitches to go 6.
Dale Swain talked to me before the game about the ability to stay calm and to discipline yourself and lay off of those sinkers in the dirt. If we don't lay off of those sinkers, we're going to continue to struggle. So they've been patient from the very first inning on so far, and not swinging at pitches they shouldn't swing at. It's that simple. Sometimes they were, at times they try too hard, and that's a natural thing for a hitter.
And the Royals have had some impressive hits in this inning, but maybe the most impressive plate appearance was Lorenzo Cain's walk to load the bases.
That's right. He wasn't over anxious. He wasn't trying to do too much. And when you have a lineup loaded full of hitters like the Royals do, you don't have to do it all yourself. Just keep the line moving.
Moustakas will walk. That's 2 in the inning from Gibson. And Kyle, you can just see in his face the frustration. Lips tight, determined look, unable to let the bat go with the Royals leading 4-0 here in the first. And a reminder to check out Miller later in the ball game. We will have the Miller play for you. Right now it is Salvador Perez, 5 for 20 on this homestand, batting .253 on the year.
Salvi, right, he's got to look for a pitch up to pull, but anything else, go to the opposite field. Stay away from the double play.
Strike 1.
Salvi and Morales have had a hard time with those ground ball double plays. Perez is grounded into 22. You don't want that here. When you keep your hands inside the ball, you have a better chance of shooting that ball away and not rolling over. You roll those hands over, you hit it into the double play, either the third baseman or the shortstop.
And he chases the breaking ball. He will throw both a curveball and a slider.
Yeah, but not very many curves. You can see he's got a big break to his curveball, just 3% of those.
Good block by Chris Herman. Gibson knows that Perez has a history of extending his strike zone. Really went way away and missed the mark by a good 2 feet. Looks tight. And now Salvador calls time. We told you Gibson, first round pick 2009 out of Mizzou by the Philadelphia Phillies. Out of play, right side, stays 1 and 2.
Right idea. That's the right idea now. Salvi, he was thinking right field the whole way, and watch his hands. His hand's going to stay inside the ball, even though this was a foul ball. He stays in, and he's trying to shoot that ball to right field. That's going to prevent him from rolling his wrists over.
Salvador only 2 for 19 in his career against the Twins sinker ball artist.
But you know, inside pitches, you're going to naturally react to those, and your eyes will tell your hands exactly what to do. But anything out over, wait a click longer and try to shoot it to the opposite field. That's what Dale Swaim has been preaching about. They weren't able to do it last night against Malone.
Whistled foul down the left field line. The Royals jumping on Gibson early tonight. First 6 Royals have reached. He's not recorded an out. He's walked 2 and 4 others have hits.
Good at bat going here. He's trying to lock in, waiting for another mistake.
Good patience by Salvador Perez, and Gibson right now has thrown 21 pitches. Royals have really rested him well in the second half. Since July 5th, he has had 13 off days. And he sends one high in the air, deep to center field. Byron Buxton will make the catch. Morales will tag and advance. And Moustakas will stay put at first base. So first and third for Kansas City. And finally, Gibson gets the first out. But this is a guy who has been like the little girl with the curl in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very, very good. But when she was bad, she was horrid. And Gibson in his wins, look at this, a 1.33 ERA. In his 25 career losses, an ERA near 10.
So far, we're trending towards the losses. And it's good to see. Salvador Perez, that was a very good at-bat. He tries to pull that, he would have grounded into a double play. He stayed inside, got the runner over. Morales.
Alex Rios missed 8 games because of the chicken pox, but was very hot prior to that. 14 for 33 his previous 9 games. And he whacks that one foul, and Morales had to duck out of the way.
And the reason he was heating up is because he was utilizing the opposite field. He wasn't trying to pull like he did for a month or two. He tried to pull everything. He wanted to hit that one big homer and hoping that would get him locked in. But really what it is he got a chuck and duck over there. It's about waiting.
Again, he knocks it foul. First half was marred because of the injury, missed 6 weeks because of a broken hand, and only hit .238, but hitting .271 in the second half. And he was just heating up when he got the chicken pox, so he's hoping he doesn't have to find that rhythm again, the timing. This could be 2, a 6, a 4, and a 3 double play. But the Royals score 4 in the first, highlighted by the bases loaded double by Eric Hosmer. And the Royals are in front 4-0.
Frenzy hitting at its finest in the first.
One RBIs this year, and the Royals have that 4-0 lead. The University of Kansas hospital injury report. Nathan Eovaldi of the Yankees shut down for 2 weeks and possibly the rest of the regular season. This guy 14-3 for the Yankees, and remember, they are right behind the Blue Jays, just a half game back for first in the American League East.
Yeah,
so that could be a real tough loss for the Yanks.
That's right, and also the wild card picture.
Strike in the outside corner. Minnesota only a game and a half back of New York and Texas in that wild card. The Angels are 3.5 games back.
So now Volquez, he takes the mound here with a 4-0 lead. Big difference. Go ahead and pitch to contact.
He does, and Rosario skies one to right center. Kane will make the catch. 1 out. And Royals fans, you have the exclusive opportunity to purchase Dayton Moore's new book, More Than a Season. The book explores the intersection of faith, family, and leadership in the process of rebuilding a championship culture in Kansas City. And all of the proceeds from the book support Dayton's charity See You in the Major League. So for just $25, you can purchase your autographed copy today at Royals.com/morethanAseason.
I'm surprised they haven't sold out of those by now. That's a great book.
Well, you look at the guys that they picked up. We just saw Ben Zobrist, Johnny Cueto, Johnny Gomes. 3 guys, great leadership, great teammates.
Yeah, no, those are guys that they just picked up. How about the guy catching the ball right there? Salvador Perez, Hosmer, Moustakas, Escobar, Kane, Gordon. Of course, Alex was here before Dayton got here. But look, it's all about the plan. The plan is to build from within. The nuts and bolts and the strength of your system come right from that system. Your minor leagues development department. Develop the athletes. They've already got the second wave of Royals coming for the future down on the farm.
And this year, 4 teams in the minor leagues made the playoffs, so that's a good sign as well. Here is Torrey Hunter. He fouls it back. Torrey was telling me about Lorenzo Cain. He really admires Lorenzo, and he said the first time I met him, Lorenzo came up to me and he said, I've watched you my entire life growing up in high school and junior college. And Torrey looked at him and he goes, did you have to say that? He goes, I'm getting old. That's not very nice. Lorenzo, of course, apologized, and then of course, Torrey laughed, and he loves Cain. He said he plays like I do. Now he hits it to center field, and Lorenzo right there, and he will make the catch just in front of the wall. And it was Torrey who said he met Lorenzo at a basketball game in Phoenix, and I said, young man, you run into the wall too much. And you know, the wall is unbeaten.
Yeah, I think Lorenzo Cain's figured that out, staying healthy all of last season and so far this year. There's a beautiful sky here. My goodness.
Yeah, they expected rain all evening long. They predicted that yesterday, but we had a lot last night, and early this morning. Not really today.
But you know, because of Lorenzo Cain and what Torrey Hunter said about crashing into walls, you know, Trevor Vance, the wonderful groundskeeper here, added to the warning track. They put about 4 or 5 feet on extra there, so Lorenzo Cain would be able to know exactly where he was and when that wall was. Really helped him out.
Keep those guys healthy.
That's right.
Eduardo Escobar, who has been on fire, he was 3 for 3 last night, drove in 3 of Minnesota's 6 runs, and now hitting .422 his last couple of weeks to raise his average to .270. Well, Lorenzo looks like he will tie a major league record.
Held by thousands.
3 putouts in 1 inning. and local music showcase presented by Inc. Magazine. And Student Night returns tomorrow night against the Twins, featuring music from Hearts of Darkness. Get your tickets now for just $8 at the box office or at Royals.com/Student Night. And it's the last game of this homestand. It will be Chris Medlin on the hill for KC, Mike Pelfrey going for Minnesota. Here is Alcides Escobar, and Esky goes after the first pitch and skies it a mile high left field. Rosario, 1 out. And Escobar, even though he's hitting ninth, Hud, there's really no change in the order after the first inning, because Escobar in the past was followed by Zobrist and now Gordon.
Yeah, but there's something to hitting leadoff that really appeals to a lot of players, because you get in there. You're going to hit first, but you're going to get one more at bat than the guy hitting ninth. That's the difference.
I was talking to Esky during batting practice today, and he just said, I'll do whatever they want, no problem. And then he said, let's win. That's what it's all about. A strike to Ben Zobrist. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ben swung at the first pitch and singled to left field his first time up. That ended an 0 for 10 that he had been in. One ball, 2 strikes.
That's a good changeup there. We didn't see too many changeups that last inning. He was trying to work the sinkers down out of the zone, hoping that the Royals in their aggressive style would be swinging over the top of them, but they didn't. They hit every mistake he threw. Hit him.
He went, though.
I thought it hit him.
But he swung at it.
Looked like it might have caught his pant leg. Let's see a little slider here. Let's see if it catches him. Oh, it got it. Hit him in the foot there.
But he swung first, so it doesn't matter. It's a strikeout.
Okay, but I thought I saw it hit him.
Yep, you're right. So that's his first strikeout, now facing Alex Gordon. And the threat of that sinker is always tough, but when he's been really good against the Royals in the past, his breaking ball and his changeup have also been excellent. Good to see Gordo back in there. Missed almost 8 weeks because of that groin injury. Had immediate success at Omaha when he came back in his rehab assignment.
You know, but I've noticed a difference since he's been back, and I noticed it when he was in Omaha. We were seeing those shots of him hitting those base hits. He's got the same stance and everything, but he's a lot quieter with his body. He's not loading up as much with his lower half. He's trusting his hands, and they're coming through for him.
Down the line. That's a fair ball.
Easy.
I'll let you coach him into second.
Trust your hands. They'll work for you.
So he's now 8 for 16 in his 6 games since his return from the DL.
2-seam sinking fastball that didn't sink. It stayed over the middle of the plate. Alex, again, just staying on top of the ball. I mean, that ball just went right over the bag and by Mauer.
And you can vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you will be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Royals Player of the Month in August was Ben Zobrist, who hit .343 that month. So Gibson, who now has allowed 5 hits. Lorenzo Cain will be the batter, who worked a walk to load the bases, and Eric Hosmer followed with a shot in the right center field gap to clear him.
Royals are #1 with a batting average, with runners in scoring position and 2 outs in the American League. And they are hitting .281 in those situations right here.
And Cain, one of the best with 2 out in all of baseball, hitting darn near .400. Gordon at second. Lorenzo. But there is Buxton to run it down. He has that fabulous speed, just reaches up and takes a hit away from Lorenzo and an RBI. That does it through 2. Royals 4, Twins nothing. Photo, use hashtag KC Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. That's a pretty good photograph right there. And it looks like she's going to put some headsets on to block out the noise when the Royals get a strikeout of a Twin or score a run. There you go. Take care of those ears.
Yeah.
Chris Herman will lead things off. He is their backup catcher. This is just his 28th start of the year. 160 average. A guy in the past we have seen play both corner outfield spots, also first base and catch, so he's a valuable guy.
Sure is, and when he's behind that plate, you throw out over 30% of runners in your part-time duty. Heck, that's a great mark and a good pitch there by Volquez.
Sure was. Changed speeds, and Herman way out in front. Strikeout number 2 for Volquez.
Changeup starts out on the inner half and ends up on the outer half. A real fooler for a hitter, especially a lefty. Ball going away from him.
Eddie's been outstanding against Minnesota. 2-1 record, 1.95 ERA in 4 starts. That's 6 earned runs in 27 2/3, and he has had 3 starts against Minnesota this year, and all 3 are quality starts. There is a good sinking fastball that snaps in the outside corner.
You tell me if you can see a visible difference in Volquez now than in the first inning. First inning, he was slow, pace. He was not sure of himself, and he got those 4 runs, and now he's a machine. He's out there working. He's got the confidence. That's what runs do for you.
So you think Dave Island pulled him aside, said, "Don't think, just throw"?
That's right. Just get out there. The boys will take care of you. They'll give you some runs. As a matter of fact, that's the first thing with the 4 runs.
Buxton grounder, and Moustakas knows he has no chance. Buxton too quick. Yeah, that's got to be a hit.
Yeah, all the way. We've seen Moose make those plays, though. He's really good at those, but not this time. Even if he gloves it, he doesn't get him. Buxton, you know, as he ran by first base, he grabbed his left hamstring. So hopefully he's not feeling the effects of trying to beat that one out.
Yeah, he has not been able to stay healthy this year, Hud. He injured his thumb on a slide. He's also injured a leg muscle. And he is one of baseball's top prospects. As a matter of fact, ranked #1 by MLB.com before the season began. Has not been able to stay healthy. Here is Aaron Hicks.
So here's what I was saying. Those 4 runs in the first the Royals scored. That's the 5th time this year they've scored 4 or more runs. And for Volquez, he's been the pitcher for 4 out of 5 of those. So he really loves those runs, and he's benefited big time from those first inning rallies.
But Rex, that was a great point you make, because his tempo is much different than it was the first inning. Hicks singled his first time up. Good off speed. Hicks 1 for 5 yesterday with a couple of strikeouts. Volquez gets a lot of his strikeouts with the change and with the curve. Opponent's only batting .185 off his changeup this year.
Let's take a look at Steady Eddie, his arsenal, and what he possesses. He's got just 3 nice pitches, although the fastball turns him into 4. He's got a 4 and 2 seamer. One stays straight up in the zone with 2 strikes to blow it by hitters. The other is a 2 seamer that moves about 4 or 5 inches. Has really good movement across the zone to lefties. The reason the average is higher against fastballs is because he throws more fastballs.
And 57 of his 127 strikeouts are on that changeup. And it is a mighty good one. Ray Searage of the Pittsburgh Pirates got him to throw that 2-seamer more, and he said his success getting ahead with it led to strikeouts with the Pirates off the change and curve. Again, he went off speed and pulled foul by Hicks.
Edison pulled out a good ground ball double play in that first inning to get him out of that. That was a clutch roll him up.
Yeah, and it was a troubling first inning the way it started, with Hicks singling, and then on an 0-2 count he hit Brian Dozier, 2 on, nobody out, struck out Mauer, and then got Plouffe on the 6-4-3. Throw to second. Buxton is safe.
Good jump. I guess there's no hamstring issues from Buxton. That's good to see. He got a good takeaway, and looks like he might have got his hand right under the tag. Perfect throw by Salvi.
And Ned was thinking about challenging.
But his hand just beat it. He just barely got it in there.
Just his second stolen base this year, but hasn't played that much because of the injuries he's had and the time in the minor leagues. Now he'll concentrate on Aaron Hicks. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Again, when you watch Salvador Perez, and we have a lot of guys that have breaking pitches that are down in the zone, he does not like to catch them. He just opens up his glove and pushes it right in front of him. Says he's better picking it up off the ground. He's quicker.
With a runner on second base, they'll change up the signs.
Yeah, and the reason they switch the signs around is because the base runner at second base, he looks right in there. He can see what the catcher's putting down, and it's so easy to transfer not just the signs but maybe even location where Salvi's setting up to the hitter by simply turning your head to one way or the other. Or you get on your knees, you put your hands on your knees for an off-speed pitch, or you stand straight up for a breaking ball. There's a lot of ways hitters and runners that are on base kind of relay the signs, and any little edge you can get, they do it.
And that little movement by Salvador Perez told Edinson Volquez to go ahead and step off. Buxton was getting a good lead. Escobar would be the guy to move behind because they're playing Hicks to pull, and Zobrist pulled way around towards right. Well, he has slowed his pace down dramatically after allowing Buxton to reach. Boy, this is a good battle. I don't remember Aaron Hicks being this kind of hitter, fouling off so many tough pitches. This is 8 pitches he has seen, and they've been good ones. 2 changeups he fouled off, several fastballs up near the letters that he's fouled off. There's never been a doubt about his defense. It's always been, where will the offense show up?
Well, he's been tough on teams with runners in scoring position. He can take his time all he wants.
Moose a long run, but he gets there. Fans, you can get closer to the action at the K with our Royals Memories program. Choose between a variety of unique opportunities, such as taking a photo on the field, a front row pass to watch batting practice, and more. All experiences are available for purchase each game exclusively through the MLB.com Ballpark app. Simply download the Ballpark app, pick upgrades, and select a once-in-a-lifetime experience you'll cherish forever. So many fun things to do here at Kauffman Stadium.
He's talking about how stingy Volquez has been on opponents with runners in scoring position. He's just given up a 196 average this year. That's 3rd best in the American League, behind Hector Santiago and Wei-In Chin.
And here is Brian Dozier, who's having some words with Salvador Perez. And Hud, I'm just wondering if it's Salvi telling him about yesterday where he got plunked in the ribs, and telling about his bruise where Dozier just got hit in the shoulder in that first inning on an 0-2 count.
Well, they all know what it's like to wear one.
In the hole, that will find left field. Buxton will come around and score. Salvi goes second, but in there is Brian Dozier to make it a 4-1 game.
There was one out over the plate. Moose couldn't grab it. Alex, 3 outfield assists. Couldn't get the relay off in time. And you know, Buxton, he can fly. He got a good jump on contact.
So now Joe Mauer, who struck out swinging first time up. Ball 1.
That's a good spot right there. Didn't give it.
And Mauer will gap one. This will score Dozier easily. And the Twins have cut it to 4-2.
Hey, the changeup, it works most of the time, but if it doesn't work, look where it ends up. Right down the middle of the plate. So Volquez just got to talking about how stingy he's been with runners in scoring position, makes a mistake, and Mauer made him pay. Remember, Mauer hitting .352 with runners in scoring position coming in. He feeds on those mistakes.
Dave Eiland out for a visit with Eddie. The Royals with 4 runs on 5 hits. The Twins with 2 runs on 4 hits, and 3 of those hits coming in this inning. 2 of them with 2 out.
It's a changeup that's been getting him in trouble this inning. All 3 of the hits have been on that pitch.
Now a slow roller to Moustakas. He gets Trevor Plouffe, but the Twins get 2 in the 3rd inning on 3 hits. 4-2 KC. Involved in Win for KC. After volunteering and participating in the Win for KC triathlon, Robin joined the board and became the chair in 2011. When her term ended in 2012, Robin continued to stay active, serving on the board, volunteering often, and becoming a significant financial contributor. Robin Sternick, thank you very much. Now Kyle Gibson to face Eric Hosmer, who hits one sharply to the first baseman Joe Mauer, who will record the out. And with Kendrys Morales coming up, we've got time to check in with our buddy Joe Goldberg.
Fizz, thank you very much. Obviously a big night for Kendrys last night with the milestones, getting to the 100 RBI mark for the 2nd time in his career. He is now one of only a handful of Cuban-born players to have multiple 100 RBI seasons in his career, and the only active player to have done that. And we see some great names from Cuba now, guys like Jose Abreu who have done it once, but Rafael Palmeiro had 10 seasons of 100 RBI or more. Than the Hall of Famer Tony Perez. Jose Canseco had 6, Minnie Minoso 4, and then it's Kendrys Morales and one of the Minnesota Twins greats, Tony Oliva, with 2 each.
And we all marvel, Joel, at just his amazing courage and the way he got to the United States, the way he was able to play Major League Baseball. And there is a high strike thrown to Kendrys Morales. I mean, at age 19, he was the first teenager to play for the Cuban national team since Omar Linares. But in 2003, Cuba thought he was going to defect, and they put him in jail. He tried to escape 11 times. Finally made it on the 11th.
Amazing.
On a speedboat with 18 other Cubans. He was out in the water, I understand, for 3 days.
I'm still waiting for Hollywood to come up with the movie.
They should, because there are so many great stories.
Right. I mean, what a dramatic story that would be. Movie would be tremendous.
The second baseman Dozier will take care of it. Morales is out number 2. Fans, be sure to get your tickets for Futures Night on Friday, September 25th, as we welcome select Royals minor league players to the K. The event will feature a pregame autograph session open to all fans on the left field concourse, so arrive early to meet your future Royals. For tickets, visit Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS.
That's always a great day there. You get to meet all the stars of the future, and you know they're always dressed to the T. Aiden Moore has them in suits. Very classy.
And the Royals very proud that 4 minor league teams made the playoffs again this year.
I mean, that's huge. You win down there, you know what it's like, and then you get up here and you win. Same thing with Moustakas, Hosmer. Those guys all won AAA championships.
Moose pops it up. Chris Herman comes back to make the catch, and Kyle Gibson, after a very rugged first inning, has really settled down the last 2. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Chrysler, close out your summer with great deals now during the Chrysler Labor Day sales event. We're at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Edinson Volquez trying to get back on beam. Steve Physiok with Rex Hudler. We're joined by the Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. And Monty, we're hoping that Kyle Gibson hasn't found it and Edinson Volquez can get back on beam.
Yeah, I think Edinson Volquez, the effort in the first inning, getting through that jam that was created there early was a key. But now you got to really kind of stay on top of things. Don't want to let these Twins back in this thing.
Twins with the confidence after scoring 2 off Volquez with 2 out in the 3rd inning. And Rosario with a 1-1 count.
Speaking of staying on top of things, Monty, that's exactly what Volquez wants to do. His last outing, we didn't last very long in it. He was having a problem collapsing his back leg. Dave Island said to stand taller on that rubber, create a better downhill angle, and stay on top of the pitches so he can execute down.
Exactly. That's the whole idea, especially when you're a guy like Volquez that gets most of his outs with pitches down in the strike zone. Looks like he got a changeup going here, a really nice changeup.
That will get out of play. Count will leave it at 2 balls and 2 strikes. But interestingly, opponents only batting 185 off the change, but all 3 hits in that last inning were off the changeup.
Yeah, changeup's the pitch. If you go to it too many times, you can really be doing the hitter a favor. I think you got to set it up nicely, which Eddie does a good job of setting that changeup up. But you know, once you get a book on a guy, he's been in the league now, you know, this entire season, guys have an idea what he's going to be coming at them with.
Well, Rosario pounds that one foul. Let's don't throw that one again.
Long strike.
Rosario, a guy that not a lot of people heard about because of some of his trouble in the offseason, trouble with losing his visa, and then he also had a suspension.
He's a very nice young player, though, man. He's in the top 10 and 13 rookie categories this year.
Popped him up, shallow center field. Kane, 1 out.
Take a look here at Edson Volquez curveball. Going down nice. Rosario underneath that one.
Well, that was a pitch that was up.
He got the out on that one because of the velocity change from his fastball. That wasn't in a great location, but he's been fighting his footing out there tonight.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain last night, but as soon as our game was over, Trevor and his crew immediately covered the field. Moustakas will take care of Torrey Hunter, and there's very quickly 2 outs in the 4th inning. And if that happened when you were on the mound, what would you ask the grounds crew to do?
I tell you, a lot of times people ask the difficulty in pitching in wet situations. Has nothing to do with the grip, in my opinion. It's always the footing, because if you don't have good footing as a pitcher, it's very difficult to get the drive that you need and is necessary in order to execute those pitches, to be on top and to get that push off that back leg and generate the power you need.
So he's using a tongue depressor there. You can see how he's in between pitches. He's been getting the mud off the bottom of his spikes. He has a spike cleaner there too to help him with his grip.
And Monty, it doesn't seem like Gibson is having trouble with the mound. Is it because Volquez has a longer stride than Gibson?
Well, there are really a couple of different ways that guys go at it. We'll talk more about it in the next inning.
As Ben Zobrist throws out Eduardo Escobar. Good comeback inning for Volquez. Night presented by Sprint on Saturday, September 26th. The first 10,000 fans will receive a Royals knit stocking cap courtesy of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Get your tickets now at Royals.com or by calling 1-800-6-ROYALS. And the night will also feature games, giveaways, and great prizes. Well, a couple of Chiefs here, Demetrius Harris and Travis Kelce. Chiefs tight ends. We hope those Chiefs are getting back to the playoffs this year, and certainly those two could help lead the way.
Yeah, Travis Kelce, he spent some time with Joel and I at the Power and Light District when the Royals win the World Series.
That's right.
Come back and hang out with us. And he's quite the Royals fan.
It looks like he has on a number 16 Bo Jackson jersey too.
Now Gibson to face Salvador Perez, who hits one to Trevor Plouffe. 1 out. And Monty, we were talking about at the end of that last inning of the stride of Edinson Volquez. Here's a guy, Kyle Gibson, 6'6". Volquez 6 feet tall, but Eddie's stride is a little longer, and we were talking about that mound throwing him off a little bit.
Right, a couple different styles for pitchers. The taller pitchers like Gibson, a lot of times they'll say they call it stay tall and fall, where they're really going to just kind of let the momentum go forward. And then Eddie Volquez, a guy that's not quite as tall, he has the drop and drive where he really generates a lot of velocity off of that backside.
So he needs that firm foundation for his plant leg. Here is Alex Rios, grounded into an inning double play to end the first. He went, and Rios down 0-2.
See, Eddie Volquez really kind of has to drive out and get that plant side. And Gibson maybe a little bit more of just a fall guy. He doesn't probably even have as long as a stride. Normally your stride's going to be about the length of your body's height.
Great slider there, and he strikes out Rios. I'm not sure if Kyle thought that was the third out. He started walking towards the dugout.
Like a nice changeup.
I see where it finishes. That's the importance. Is it down around the ankles? It's hard for a hitter to hit it and put it in play.
I think Gibson may have thought there were 3 outs. Oops, need 1 more in this league.
That's right.
Now number 9 hitter Alcides Escobar went up to the first pitch and flied out to left field, so he takes the first pitch this time, and it's ball 1. Looked like he was taking all the way.
Yeah, you know, you can't make it out on only 2 pitches in your first 2 ABs. You got to see some pitches.
Yeah, his body was awfully relaxed. Now he'll be ready and foul it off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I thought it was interesting that Ben Zobrist swung at the first pitch he saw tonight from Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, and then Alex, same thing. First and third, 2 pitches thrown. They really
I'm
got
sure
him. And you know, we haven't seen those straight fastballs since. They were all mistakes, all straight as a string, up, belt high. And he's made the adjustment. Good slider.
Well, it's obvious the Royals run the ambush game plan tonight, coming out first pitch and the strikes, and they're going at it. But Gibson has, like you mentioned, he's made a nice adjustment.
now thrown 56 pitches, and then he gets Escobar in an excellent fastball down and away, strikes out 2 in the inning. different. If you're on the road and you're traveling and you want to watch Eric Hosmer and the Royals, well, you can subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on demand and over 400 devices, real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. There's a ground ball to Eric. He'll take it himself and record the out just in front of Chris Herman. 1 pitch, 1 out. And I was talking with Mike Arbuckle about Eric Hosmer before his ball game. And Monty, you played with a lot of great first basemen. And Mike Arbuckle and I were talking about he may be the best we've ever seen. Athletic, only 25, and just the errors that he has saved for Royal infielders this year.
Yeah, the only Royal first baseman I can remember that was close to him defensively was Wally Joyner.
But did Wally have the athleticism to get foul balls
No.
or ground balls that...
Wally saved a lot of runs, and Wally made a lot of plays that he seemed to make routine looking plays, but they were tough plays.
And Hud played with one of the very best.
Yeah, but Big John Mayberry was good.
Yeah.
Talks about Big John, how he could handle that bag over there. But yeah, you know, Donnie Mattingly, he had 9 Gold Gloves. That's a pretty good mark. But the only difference now, they had similar hands and feet, but Hosmer 5 inches taller.
Yep.
Much easier target to hit, and with his athleticism and the fact he can throw, you know, he really can throw from different arm angles. It makes him very special.
Yeah, I was talking with Escobar before the ball game on that play up the middle where he had to twirl around and the ball got away from Esky a little bit and tailed, and he said Hosmer just saved me, because that looked like it was going to go into the dugout, and Hosmer with that long stretch. And Esky just, he said, I put my hand on my chest and said, thank you, Hos.
But you know, the play last night that Hosmer made over there at first base on a hot smash, he dove out, threw his glove out there, caught it, and almost deked the runner into pretending he let it go by, and he almost came off the bag, and Hos put the tag on him just there. I mean, that's incredible alertness.
He's just very instinctive.
Mm-hmm.
Good pitch by Edinson Volquez, and he strikes out Byron Buxton.
Yeah, nice to see Eddie get that strikeout. He seems like he's really fighting this mound. A couple pitches ago, he throws a pitch, and you see he slips. You land, and it kind of slides through that almost mud, and he gets a little upset. He's going to show his frustration. Not happy with that mound tonight.
If your plant area was bad, would you move from one side of the rubber to another?
No, I would probably call the groundskeeper and ask him to come out and put some Diamond Dry on there and see what you can do to rough it up a little bit. Maybe get a little, you know, more firm landing area for that landing foot.
There's a good off-speed pitch dropped on the inside corner, 1-1 to Aaron Hicks. I'm trying to remember the pitcher I saw earlier this year that was moving from the third base side of the pitching rubber to the first base side against left-handers and right-handers. Do you recall anybody that you've seen move around on the rubber?
Well, I guess everyone's got their own approach, but for me, I had a real good feel from being on the very far side, the third base side of the pitching rubber, and everything kind of worked off of that for me. So I didn't really want to make an adjustment off of that side of the rubber.
By moving, it creates different angles.
Yes. A lot of times guys that throw the sinker ball and have a lot of life on their two-seam fastball will pitch from the first base side to increase that angle so that pitch will finish away from the lefties. I was more of a slider pitcher, so I'd be on the third base side to increase the angle away from the righties.
There's a shot to right field, and Hicks is on for the second time. Monty, weren't you also telling me that you would use your four seam because it would get movement, because your plant leg, you would cross over a little bit?
Right, through a little bit across my body, kind of a crossfire action. As a result, it kind of creates some natural sink and life, and I needed the velocity. So if I threw the four-seamer, I would have 2 to 3 miles per hour more than the two-seam fastball, and I could command it better. And by using that crossfire delivery, I got a little bit of natural sink on my four-seam fastball.
Volquez had retired 6 straight before the hit by Hicks. Now Dozier, dangerous batter with plenty of power. He leads the team in home runs with 27. Hicks has stolen 9. He's been caught 3 times. In there, 1-1. These Twins playing a lot better lately. 12-5 their last 17 games and have won 4 of the last 5 series. The only series they lost was in Houston before they came to KC. Third base, this should end it. It does. Volquez has allowed 2 in 5 innings. The Royals lead it 4-2. Zobrist hitting first, Alex Gordon hitting second. Ned Yost wanted to get his best on-base percentage guys up 1-2 and have speed at the bottom. But Monty, when you take a look at these two guys, look at their careers, how similar offensively they have been. That's why we call it the attack of the clones.
When I saw those numbers earlier this evening, I was amazed at how similar those numbers are.
And Zobrist will start things. He will ground out to first base. Joe Mauer gets it to Gibson in time, and Kyle Gibson has really been sharp of late. He has retired 8 straight Royals since the double by Alex Gordon. Gordo will come up now. The two of them tonight are 3 for 5, a pair of singles, a double, and 2 runs scored.
Really 2 interchangeable players there at the top. You can flip-flop them anytime you wanted.
Alex getting closer to 100%, but there's still, he's probably just a half a step, maybe a step behind of what he was, and they're okay with what they're getting from him right now.
Yeah, Ned was talking about play 2, rest 1, and then as the season progresses, play 3, rest 1. This Royals medical team, I think, is the very best in baseball. Great job that they have done. And there is the 3rd hit of the night for Alex. Stay hot.
Well, we talked about how his body's very quiet and he's not overloading his lower half. He's just trusting his hands, a lot like Moose did when Moose got into a little 2-3 week spell where he was raking everything, not missing the mistakes. That ball was down, but it's out over the middle of the plate. Nice, easy, controlled swing.
Well, since his return from the DL, not bad. 3 doubles, 3 RBIs, a couple of runs, and now the Royals would like to score another here, improve their lead on Gibson and the Twins. Lorenzo Cain has been on once with a walk. He also lined out, and Buxton made a fine run and catch in right center. He pops this one up foul territory, and Maurer will take care of it for the second out. Well, our Jeep drive of the game has to come from this man, because he came up with the bases loaded in the first and did this. A bases clearing double.
81 RBIs now in the season for Hosmer.
That is a career high. 2 years ago he had 79. He has had 18 multi-RBI games this year, but he has not hit a home run since August 14th off Jared Weaver. 81 at bats ago, and Gibson has given up 16 this year, but only 6 to left-handers. He's actually had better numbers against lefties, hitting .233 against him, and right-handers hitting .280 with 10 home runs. Through 25 pitches in the first. Right now he is at 60. Great block by Herman, or Gordon would be on second base.
Yeah, Herman, he picks this nicely. Great judgment on the hop.
Similar to the wild pitches we saw from Giordano last night.
Yeah. But he's able to judge that one.
Maurer has it. Gibson now through 5. The Royals still lead by a pair. Misiak, Rex Hudler, Jeff Montgomery, Joel Goldberg with you at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. The Royals holding a 4-2 lead. And our DraftKings players to watch, go to DraftKings.com and enter promo code VRoyal. Volquez, we've been watching, 2 runs in 5 innings. Iglesias of Cincinnati has allowed 5 runs in 3 innings. And Melky just getting underway with the Sox versus Cleveland. Jed Lowry, man, he's been hot. So it's Houston who leads that American League West by 2 games over Texas. The Astros did lose yesterday. Joe Mauer will lead things off here in the 6th. Volquez has thrown 71 pitches. Mauer jumped on an off-speed pitch and rammed it in the alley right center field his last time up, and that scored Brian Dozier from second base. Back up the middle, and Mauer is 2 for 3. Royals trying to get their starting pitching back in order. And
that curveball keeps staying up there. He's going to get hit.
And that was a pitch he struggled with so much in his last start. That curveball could never get any real consistent downward move at the bottom part of the strike zone in his last start with it.
You'd like to hear he got Plouffe to hit into an inning-ending double play in the first. Ball 1. I was talking about the Royals starting pitching. The last 5 games by the Royals starters, they are 0-4 with a 9.75. That was coming into tonight's game, and averaging only 4 2/3 innings per start. And Ventura had been so sharp until last night. Walked 5. He had been the one guy who had been the most consistent since the middle of August. And I'm sure we're all thinking, let's get it out of the way now and then get hot towards the end of September and into October. The Royals came into tonight's play with an 11-game lead on Minnesota. Fouled off.
Yeah, the biggest key for the rotation is have a starter to go out there and do what Edinson Volquez is doing tonight, have a quality start. Want to have a good first inning, and this team has fought from behind so much this year, but over the last 5 starts and even more games than that, the Royals find themselves in the hole off the get-go. It makes the pitcher's job a lot more difficult, and it also makes the hitter's job so much more difficult because they're trying to do things that probably they're not capable of doing and shouldn't be trying to do.
Right, and when you try harder, it doesn't work.
The Royals outscored in that White Sox series 25-7, and they were down early each and every game. Plouffe with a swing and a miss. Count is even 2-2. He just roared back and let her fly.
Two-seamer, he didn't want that up there necessarily for Plouffe. Plouffe, a powerful guy. Any powerful hitter that sees that ball up there is going to take a rip at it. He wants to keep it down. He put him in the lane once earlier in that first inning, and he can do it again here by executing down.
That'll work.
There you go. "26 double plays now Plouffe has grounded into." There it was. He stayed down, got him to hit on top of it. Nice little 6-4-3.
Volquez with 19 double plays that he's induced this year, and that is a career high. He came into the game with tying his career best, which was set last year with the Pittsburgh Pirates when he won 13 games. If he wins this game, he'll have the same record he had that he ended last year with the Pirates at 13-7, but a long way to go in this one. 2 out though in the 6th inning. The Royals' main guys in that bullpen well rested. Fouled off. Ned Yost was talking about that before the ball game, that we haven't been in too many situations where we've had that lead, been able to hand it off to Herrera, Davis, and Holland, and obviously Kelvin not with the club because of chickenpox, but he did get out there last night. Got the job done in that 6th inning. Zobrist. Volquez has gone 6. He's allowed 2. Royals hold on to a 4-2 lead going to the bottom of the 6th here at the K.
Steady Eddie getting the job done. Get him some more runs.
His 2nd birthday, this kid is celebrating at the K. Well, as promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. The 6th inning is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Tim Leskoff from Kansas City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Tim will win $200. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Tim, you get $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals.
Been giving a lot of money away here in these innings this season. I don't know the exact numbers, but man, they've been cashing in.
Yeah, we had 5 straight games where they hit home runs in the 6th inning. Fouled off. And he certainly is a most trusted player. Brought to you by Honda. 101 RBIs, 7 shy of his career high.
47 of those RBIs have come against the Twins. So he's been raking against the Twinkies.
24 more games after tonight. He started the night 15 behind the RBI leader in the American League, Josh Donaldson of Toronto. Fouled off. And you talk about a humble guy. When you talk to him about the job he's done this year, 17 home runs, 101 RBIs, he goes, yes, it's all about the guys who get on in front of him. I am so thankful for them.
Yeah, they get out there and he just has the knack to hit the ball where it's pitched. hard to play him one side or the other, but we've seen teams try to do that. Twins in this situation here with nobody on, pretty much straight up. Slight pull on the left side.
And Monty, quite frankly, it's amazing the job personally that Kyle Gibson has done in this game, because in that first inning, Paul Molitor had someone warming up in the bullpen after the Royals had their first 6 men reach.
Well, you're absolutely right, and that's one thing as a starting pitcher you relied on to get innings, and Gibson now is going to at least give his manager 5+ innings. So if you got a guy warming up in the first inning, there's a good chance that the starting pitcher is not going to last 5+. Gibson's really turned things around.
And Rex was telling me before the game, he was going over the notes, and he said, look at Gibson. He has not gone deep into games in his last few starts. He went 6 in his last. And right now, his next pitch will be his 70th. In the air, left field, Rosario, 1 out.
We talk all the time how important it is to get a pitcher early in a game, especially if a pitcher's got your number occasionally. Kyle Gibson has had the Royals number, but that first inning was critical.
25 pitches in the first inning. He hasn't thrown more than 11 since. And you can see he actually gets better as the game progresses. Do you find that happens often with sinker ball pitchers?
Yeah, that oftentimes they get a better feel for the for the mound, the strike zone, and then a little bit of maybe lesser velocity helps him out a little bit as far as getting those ground balls.
Yeah, sinker ball or less is more.
Moose chops it to Mauer. He will get it to Gibson in time, and 2 out. The first 6 Royals reached. He has retired 16 of the next 18 he's faced.
And he's actually done it efficiently with 72 pitches.
If he's getting the Royals back on their aggressive ways again, swinging at pitches out of the strike zone. First inning they were aggressive because Gibson hadn't settled down yet. He couldn't figure out his pitches yet. And that's the inning you can really jump on a guy. Keep calm.
And Salvion
is right.
Salvi 0 for 2, flied out, grounded out. Way out in front of that off speed. He has always hit the Twins well. 8 home runs in his young career. They appeal. He did not go. To shortstop Escobar. So Gibson remains strong, retires the Royals in order. We head to the 7th inning of play. Royalty at the ballpark. Royals lead it 4-2. revolves around you. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers, visit us at yourmidwestforddealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. It's a beautiful evening in Kansas City. We come to you from Kauffman Stadium. The Royals with 4 in the first. Minnesota scored 2 in the third. And now Volquez starts the 7th inning facing Torrey Hunter. One ball, one strike, and again, I don't think Volquez liked the way his front foot landed. And the pitch well off the mark, and now he grabs the rosin bag and slams it down. Zobrist will get it. 1 out. And we've got time to check in with Joel.
Let's do a little bit of scoreboard watching, Fizz, as Panera takes us around the league. But first, let's check out the Mazda game break. And look at this one. Travis Shaw going deep past the pesky pole. 1-1. That was in the second. It's still that way in the 9th inning right now. And a lot of drama with that, because though that game is 1-1, and then the Yankees for a while were 1-1, and they're now trailing the Orioles 2-1. So if the Yankees were to come back, and if Toronto loses, that the Yankees would be in first place after that day. And we'll see what happens. We'll keep our eye on it, guys, in the 9th inning, because Josh Donaldson will lead off if they go to the 10th. Here's our Panera look around the league. So 1-1. Baltimore took the lead on a Chris Davis home run, his 41st. That was in the 9th. Houston and Oakland, Texas and Seattle, all games with playoff implications. And again, we'll update you on Toronto's game right now as Big Papi up in the bottom of the 9th.
And both of those teams have been hot. Toronto has won 7 of 10. The Yankees have won 8 of their last 10. Boston has won 7 of their last 10. Royals trying to end a 4-game losing streak. Eduardo Escobar. 1 ball, 1 strike. Escobar 0 for 2 after going 3 for 3 last night. And he really has been their best offensive player since the All-Star break. 1 ball, 2 strikes. They're still unsure if he is going to be their everyday shortstop in the future. They have Danny Santana, who can play the position. There's some minor leaguers that they're looking at, and Escobar has the talent to play just about everywhere in the diamond. He was playing left field in a game we saw him earlier this year.
You know, we were just going over some scores and highlights. The game I've been interested in is the Nationals and the Mets. Mets are holding on 8-7. You know, and Harvey, all that talk about Harvey and the innings and how many he wants to throw and how many his team wants him to throw, that whole soap opera, that drama. He went 5 1/3, 8 hits, 7 earnings. They dropped on him. And that's all the scoring by the Nats have been off of Harvey.
In the air, center field, Lorenzo Cain will get this one, and there are 2 out in the 7th inning. And Monty, wanted to get your thoughts on that, because the eras have changed. Everybody's under a microscope, particularly young pitchers. But you grew up, and some of your mentors in this organization, the guys that you knew, were guys like Paul Splittorff and Dennis Leonard, and those guys finished what they started.
And I know there's a lot of data now to tell you what, predicting how guys are going to be health-wise, but to me, you have to listen to your body. If your body's telling you it's time to shut it down, you may be in a situation where you need to be aware of that. But if you have a chance to pitch your team into a championship, it sure would be hard to shut it down.
Yeah, and you know, guys that come off of Tommy John, I understand, you know, you're going to be careful with them. But before the season, if you know there's going to be a innings pitch limit, maybe you start that pitcher later in the season. You don't let him have those early innings early, because you want him at the end. You want to be able to have a full staff and guys that have helped you all year.
It's when you need them.
That's right.
2 out for Danny Santana. He's pinch hitting for Chris Herman. Zobrist will gather this one in. Quite a job by Edinson Volquez. Through 7, he's allowed 2. The Royals hold a 4-2 lead.
Great job by Edinson.
Leading 4-2. Let's take another Mazda game break. And this was the 9th inning. Yankee Stadium. Chris Davis opposite field number 41. So New York has some work to do if they want to try to win this one. Toronto, by the way, is heading to extra innings. We'll keep you updated on all of that. They're in Boston, and then Toronto this weekend, 4 games against the Yankees. Coming up after the game, Monty will break down the pitching performance of Edinson Volquez. We'll look at that big first inning for the Royals offense, reaction from Ned Yost, and much more from the clubhouse coming up on Boulevard Royals Live.
Eric Fryer takes over at catcher, Joel. And you're right about Volquez. I mean, 4 starts against Minnesota this year. All 4 have been quality starts. Rios grounds out to third. And tomorrow night, final game of this series, Chris Medlin will be on the hill for KC, and Mike Pelfrey will be throwing for Minnesota. What have you seen from Chris lately?
Well, his last start, I think he took a step back, and that may be due to his, his comeback from his Tommy John. I think he should expect to see some of those times when a guy's coming in. We saw it with Luke Hochafer early in the season, have some brilliant games, then occasionally have a little setback, but he would build off of it. And the fact that he was able to throw 98 pitches in his last outing should do a lot for his arm strength.
Boy, he really prepares well. And of course, the Royals signed him to a 2-year deal plus a mutual option for a 3rd year. And Chris loves it here. He said, this is a perfect organization for me because I'm a pitch to contact guy. I have to use my defense, and there's no better defense than the Royals.
One thing I really like about Medlin, he is on the attack. He gets the ball, he's ready to throw the next pitch. He knows exactly what he's going to throw, and no fear at all from that young man.
And I think that's one reason why we've seen so many great defensive plays behind him. Escobar said he loves playing behind him because it keeps him on his toes. You're thinking contact every single pitch. Here comes something. He has a good sinking fastball, and I think one of the best curves.
Yeah, he does.
Of any of our pitchers.
Nice arsenal.
Escobar 0 for 2. Gibson has always been terrific against Kansas City. 5-2 in his career with a 2.2 ERA. This is his 8th start. He had a rough beginning, but my goodness, he's been terrific since the 2nd.
Yeah, if you'd have asked me after that first inning how much longer he'd have stayed in, I said, man, he's got 2-3 innings in him max. But he figured it out. He stayed aggressive. He got his sinker working down. He stopped overthrowing and started, taking a little bit off his pitches. And that's the reason he's been able to stay in this game, taking advantage of the aggressiveness of the Royals.
Well, they had him play perfectly, and Dozier throws him out. You saw Fien and Dunsing throwing in the Twins bullpen, and it was just announced by our vice president in charge of communications, Mike Swanson, that 31,834 are in attendance tonight. Why is that important? It's important because fans, you've got to sell it out tomorrow night, because you will be part of the record breaker. We needed 34,907 to break the 1989 team record of 2,477,700. And that will be eclipsed tomorrow night. So you can be part of that history as you watch your winning Royals take on the Twins in the final game of this series. Zobrist pops it up. Shortstop Escobar, 3 up, 3 down for Gibson.
Amazing job he's done.
As he started in desperate fashion, and they had the bullpen warming up in the first. Only 2 runs allowed.
Yeah, after those 4 runs, man, that just said, all right, look, I got a chance to win a game, a big game here for us, and I'm going to keep my stuff down. He picked up his tempo. He started executing his pitches down the zone, and he used the defense. 2 ground ball double plays. The first one was huge to get him out of that first inning. Nice job by Volquez tonight.
Paulo Orlando comes in to take over for Alex Rios in right field. And of course, our Chevy call to the bullpen, best setup man in the game, Wade Davis. 58th game this year. His ERA is again under 1 because he has been remarkable again.
Yep, it's incredible command this guy's got, able to repeat his delivery every single time. 90 to 97 with his fastball. Lower 90s with a cutter, overhand curve.
And Monty, this is another example of the Royals medical team and what they did. Wade Davis had back problems. They shut him down and brought him back slowly. And once he got his rhythm back, it was like, oh, here's the old Davis again.
Yeah, he just had that one little bump in the road about a month back, but he's really looking like himself again.
95-mile-an-hour heater pushes Buxton off the plate. Buxton, Hicks, Dozier for Minnesota in the top of the 8th. One ball, 1 strike. Even though he has that great cut fastball, good overhand curve, the four-seam fastball with that tremendous command is the key. And there is Buxton to right field. Orlando will bobble it but make the catch. Oh, baby.
Paulo Orlando probably has a step on Rios in right field. One of the reasons he brings him in, and he showed it here. Quick coming in, hits the heel of his glove. He's able to close it down before it pops out of there. And you come in for defense, that ball will find you almost every time.
When that ball left the bat, I thought it was going to be a kind of a little bloop single to right.
I did too.
He got a great jump on that ball.
Now back to the top of the order, and Hicks, who is 2 for 3. Strike one. And there is that cut fastball.
Wade Davis has a little traveler on his cap. Wants to get that Moss eye view of that home plate, that good downward angle. Let's see if he shows it here. A little cutter down.
It's all about the aerodynamics.
Well, he's missed on the last 2 pitches, so maybe it's kind of like affected his weight distribution. Whew, not by much. 3-1. Somebody tell Wade that. There we go. Get rid of that moth. It's still there.
Yeah, he got it out with it. Leave it on.
Oh, I didn't know the moth was on there for the first out by Buxton.
Sure he was. Gonna pop him up right here.
Well, he did, but it's out of play. This is exactly where the Royals want their opponents, with the lead, with this great bullpen. Herrera, Davis, and Holland, and so many others, but that's the most storied trio. Herrera, Davis, and Holland, HDH. Herrera was warming up just in case Volquez was shaky. He was not. He had a very clean and easy 7th inning. There's the pop-up you're talking about, Hud.
Well, I knew it was coming. And wouldn't you know, the moth had to fly away.
Good to see this guy up. Power hitter. No one on base.
.130 strikeouts on the year for Dozier. You can punch him out.
He's had success against Wade in the past. And then a 97-mile-an-hour heater. The previous pitch, though, Monty, was a 95-mile-an-hour cut fastball with a lot of break. I mean, that's look impossible to see.
Well, he's has such good command of that pitch. That's the amazing thing. He can throw it backdoor to lefties, he throws it away to righties.
You see it. It's just at the last minute when you go to swing at it, it darts away. That's what fools the hitter. At that velocity, it doesn't give you much time to track it when it breaks. Slow curves, you know, those kind of pitches, you can see those break a lot easier. That cutter's a fooler.
3 balls, 1 strike. And it looks like Kyle Gibson will come back for the bottom of the 8th. Well, he has been outstanding since a very rough first inning. It's right down the middle.
You throw that one again.
That's right. Go at 3-1. Go at 3-2.
Staying with the heat. And Dozier belts it right down the line, and he pulled a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Whew. Stay down and away from this guy.
Put a little scare in the Wade Davis. Might come back with that cutter now.
It's very possible.
Stayed with the fastball. Again up. Scouting report says that Brian Dozier, better high ball hitter than he is a low ball hitter. Salvi setting up low and away. Cutter in there. Strike 3 called.
Well, that moth had a moth's eye view with a moth cam, and it worked. Waiter, check please.
The disabled list. Kyle Gibson staying in the game. He had a very rough first inning, faced 8 Royals, 4 scored, but he has shut out Kansas City on just 2 hits since.
Just pounding the strike zone with those sinkers.
The 2 hits he's given up since the first, a double by Gordon, a single by Gordon. And there's a little comebacker, and Alex is out for the first time tonight.
This might be one of Gibson's best outings of the year. I mean, not from a number standpoint, but the fact that he gave up those 4 in the first inning and then settled down and really stymied the Royals offense the rest of the way.
Yeah, he had that June 2nd masterpiece here in Kansas City where he shut us out on 4 hits. Trying to go 8 again. Lorenzo Cain, the batter. And Lorenzo takes strike 1. Cain has walked, lined out, popped up. He has 50 extra base hits this year, and he's also stolen 26 bases, and only a few Royals have done that. Carlos Beltran did it 4 times. Amos Otis did it. Bo Jackson, Willie Wilson. Only Royals with 50 or more extra base hits and 25 or more stolen bases. Ryan Dunsing warming up in the Minnesota pen. Ouch.
Lorenzo seems to do that at least twice a week. He's got that shin guard on there, but I think it missed it. Oh, right on the top of it. Remember, actually, that looked like that caught more of the calf, that same calf that he fouled it off of a few games ago.
That's what we were talking about. Lorenzo Cain, one of 6 Royals in club history with 50 or more extra base hits and 25 or more stolen bases. One of the leading candidates for most valuable player on this team. He has scored 89 runs, and that's also #1 on the team. And right now, depending on what Mike Trout does, it is 4th best in baseball. And there is the Cain Club.
That's a great company he's in.
Oh, he did it again. Holy cow, Lorenzo. Darn sinkers.
Yeah, they keep coming back with them too. After they see a hitter foul it off, they go back with the same pitch if they can, but hoping that the hitter is going to be a little leery of that. But that ball's coming down and in. And let's see. Oh, it got the right knee. Oh, no.
Wow.
That's a tough at bat. Got him in the calf, the left calf. Now that foul right off the outside of the right knee. Fans trying to give Cain a little bit of love to help him recover from that.
He may need a cane after this at bat.
Oh, man.
We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Royals lead it 4-2, scoring all 4 runs in the first. Twins scored their 2 in the third. Volquez outstanding for 7. And then Wade Davis with a perfect 8th. And Jim Joyce says, I know how it feels. I get a lot of foul balls myself. Deep exhale. Let's go.
Coming right back with the same pitch.
Almost hit him. Lorenzo might be saying, I'm already fouling him off myself. Now don't hit me. And she's saying, oh my, that's my favorite player. Lorenzo then bloops it to shallow center field. Buxton is there for the catch. It's time for Miller time. We go back to the first inning. The bases were loaded. Eric Hosmer was the batter, and Gibson missed on a changeup.
Yep, Haas let him know it. First it was Zobrist. Zobrist with a clean single. 2 pitches into the game. We got first and third. Now the walk by Cain. Haas says, I know what to do. Wait for the mistake. Gibson hadn't settled in yet. Early in the first, splits the gap. Scored all 3. And then Morales says, look, we're not done. Let's get that 4th one. And that's all it's been tonight. 4 in the first.
And thank goodness, because Gibson has settled in and become a brilliant pitcher since. A 2-hit shutout his last 7 innings. 0-2 as Haas takes a swing at the breaking ball. But to say this, he competed. He let the bad go and been rock solid ever since. .97 through almost 8 is great efficiency when you threw 25 in the first inning alone.
Sure is. It's an incredible outing for him. Minus the first inning.
That's 3 straight that he's tried to get Haas to swing at, breaking balls down and in.
Yep, you swing at it once, they'll keep throwing it there until you lay off it. Let's how about a sinker right here. Just got a piece of that changeup. That's a good pitch there. Ball has really good movement still. Down and away, Haas. You almost hit it out of that catcher's glove.
I'm not sure he touched it, but they shall take it. Haas will live for another pitch. That back leg rocking. Inside corner, beautifully thrown. Looked like it was going to be inside, then snapped on the inside corner, and he gets the strikeout. Here comes Greg Holland for the 9th. Protect a 4-2 Royal lead.
Hammer time.
Pitched in 11 days. Last time out August 28th when he cruised through the 9th in Tampa, fanning 2 of the 3 Rays he faced for his 29th save of the year.
Yep, after 11-day layoff, really wants to be able to get into that strike zone as soon as he can. Strike 1 preferably. Dyson out in left field. Kane in center, Paulo Orlando in right.
Joe Mauer 2 for 3, a double with an RBI and a single.
Fastball low to mid 90s for Holland. Slider, occasional split fingers he'll throw.
Mauer against Highland, 4 for 8. The 4 outs, strikeouts.
He's almost like Miguel Cabrera, has good numbers against everybody.
You remember that game against the Twins? Mauer up with the bases loaded. The rain was falling. I mean, almost in sheets. And Holland was able to snap off a slider in the outside corner, a ridiculous pitch. And
that was here earlier this season.
Was it this? I didn't know if it was this year or last year.
Oh well.
I just remember the rain pouring down. It was a critical situation.
That was last season.
Tried to get the high strike. 2-1. Escobar. Does he have time? Yes, he does. Wow.
Mauer using the big part of the field like he always does. Picked the wrong guy to hit it at. Escobar feathers it. Good soft hands and throws from his knees. That's a Gold Glove play.
Paul Mahler wants to take a look at it, so we will have a challenge.
He's out. Look at Haas stay down low. Low to high. Finish high with the pick. He is out. Beautiful pickup work. And like we were talking earlier, Escobar, he don't care. He just throws it, gets it over there. He knows Haas is going to pick it. That was some kind of play.
We were talking before the ball game, Alcides Escobar. We were talking about Eric Hosmer's excellence, and he said, I don't know how many errors he saved this year, but if I win the gold, Eric will be part of the reason why.
Yeah, you know, but I'll tell you though, it's Escobar's soft hands. He's able to keep it in there and find it in his fingers, and the fans finally saw the view that they think he's safe. That's why the roar here at the K. Look at Haas. He's almost like he's winding up, and he keeps his glove down low and just goes towards the ball with a nice upward angle to pick it.
Salvi was over there listening. He's out. It is official. Thank you very much. Best defense in baseball. That's what the scouts tell us, and that's what we see every single night.
55+ runs saved by the Royals defense.
Now Plouffe. Strike one. Plouffe 3 times has grounded out, twice into double plays. Not much success against Holland. And Greg will take care of this one. Just flip it with his glove to Hosmer for the second out. And the crowd of 31,834 raise up. Try to see the Royals end this 4-game losing streak and win their 83rd of the year and clip that magic number to 13 to win the American League Central. Rosario 0 for 3. Strike one. Strike two. No luck against Holland. Just put him away 4 times. Two out, nobody on. Royals by a pair.
After that high fastball, you're going to come back with a slider right here down. Salvi wants it on the ground.
Center field, Kane comes on, and the Royals have a win. 4-2. Greg Holland with his 30th save.
Hammer getting the job done. Of course, Edison Volquez stepping up. Badly needed start by a starter to step up and have a quality start. It was nice, and the Royals still have not lost 5 straight since last year, May 1st through the 5th. KCW coming up.